Welcome to the Writer's Journey podcast. I'm Michael Laran, a science fiction and fantasy author on a journey to go from nobody to bestseller, and I'm documenting every step of the way. Tune in every week as I pull back the curtain on my writing life and how I'm building a writing career while working a full-time job, raising a family, and attending law school classes in the evenings. You can find show notes for this week's episode, a free starter library of my fiction, and much more at michaellaran.com. Hello and welcome to episode 101. 101 is a fantastic number, and I hope that many of you were able to join me last week for my 100 episode celebration. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the next 100 episodes, which should arrive in about the next, 18 to 20 months. So that's a long time away. So we'll have another celebration at that point. But huge thank you to those of you who listened and those of you who sent some comments my way. I always appreciate that. And I also did want to kick this episode off with saying that if anyone leaves a review of the show, I will start to monitor those regularly and I will read those on the air. So if you want your name shouted out, you want to call out, I will read reviews of the show. I will look at Apple primarily, but I'll also look in other areas. If you happen to post a review on a site that's maybe off my radar, just shoot me a note and I will be happy to read it on the air. And I also wanted to let you guys know that I don't talk about this very often, but I do have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Michael Laran. That is a great way to support the show if you feel so moved. You can start off at the $1 level, and I've got some things that I offer patrons who are willing to support me at a higher level. So I want to welcome Eric Chu and Sheila Klein, two new patrons to the channel. I greatly appreciate your support of the channel. And just so you know, just so it's out there, you can also support the show at patreon.com/Michael Laran. Now, I've got some updates. So I've got 2 weeks worth of updates that I want to talk about because the last episode, we didn't do any updates. So my basement situation, first and foremost, I'm sure many of you are probably thinking about that. I certainly am. I'm living this every single day, every single second. So things are going really well. I had a meeting with my adjuster about a week after everything happened. I didn't waste any time. Adjuster came out, looked at everything. We are good to go from a coverage perspective. He's got the check written, and I've got the contractor signed the work authorization yesterday as I record this, and we are scheduled for work to begin later in the month. We're going to have a vacation around the middle of February, so as soon as we get back, they're going to start that work, and they are going to basically fix the drywall, put in new drywall, feather it, blend it, and all that good stuff, put a fresh coat of paint on the wall, and then they are going to put in new carpet. Why I'm putting in carpet, I don't know, but I'm going to try something a little different. The nice part is that I'm not going to have them glue it down, so if something goes wrong, they can easily take it out later on down the road. So I've also done some preventative things to prevent this from happening in the future. I've got a plumber coming out to put in a backflow prevention valve so that if this ever does happen again, it won't be nearly as bad. And things are going really, really good. And I think by the end of the month, I should be up and running back in the studio. And I've had an opportunity to record videos in my living room. So if you've watched my YouTube channel, you will notice over the past 3 to 4 weeks or 2 weeks that I have started shooting videos in my living room on my couch. And it's really, really interesting. And I think I might redo my studio a little differently. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I might, instead of talking to the camera behind a desk, I might put in a couch and then have like my desk and my bookcase in the background. I'm not entirely sure yet. It's going to depend on if I can get a couch that's going to look good with everything at the right price. It all comes down to that. But I might do that just to kind of give the channel a more inviting feel, to kind of remove the table between me and the viewer. I don't know if I'll do that, but we'll see. I definitely want to improve on what was there so that it just doesn't look exactly the same. So that's what I'm working on, and we're moving along really quickly. I think it helps that I have insurance background and I used to be a claims adjuster, so I know how all that stuff works. And yeah, I kind of had it checked within 24 hours of the adjuster coming, which is a reflection on the adjuster, who was really, really great. So, yeah, things are going great with that, and it's a learning experience, and I'm really glad to have gone through this, because at the end of the day, I think things are going to be better as a result of having been through it. So that is an update on my basement / flooding situation. I did start my first 2 weeks of classes. I'm taking copyright law this semester, and yeah, I'm in the process of doing a lot of reading, although this class is a little bit more laid back than my last class. The reading is about the same, if not a little bit more, but the professor he has a different style. And so it's pretty cool because he is a practicing copyright attorney, and yeah, he's got some really, really good insights, and I'm kind of that person in the class that, I don't know, I ask a lot of questions, which is funny because I'm the only non-JD person in the class. So I bet all the other students are looking at me like, who the hell is this guy? He just waltzes in here and is asking all these questions. So I'm asking selfishly a lot of publishing industry type questions, and I'm finding out a lot of really interesting things about copyright that you just don't find out by reading a book. It's really interesting to talk to an attorney to get their view on things and their opinion on how cases that they've personally tried work. And so, yeah, like I said, this was one of the reasons I went to law school. It is absolutely paying off. And yeah, I definitely am getting an advanced crash course in copyright that I think is going to help me for the rest of my career. So another thing I wanted to talk about, so I talked about the class, the Good Necromancer series is going very well. In fact, so Reaper's Way is done, and it just got back from the editor, and I am in the process sometime before the end of the month. Once I get a minute, I'm going to sit down and get it uploaded and push it out to all of my subscribers on the ML McKnight mailing list. So if you were on that list, be sure to keep an eye out in your email inbox. If you are not on that and you happen to be interested in my Good Necromancer series, check it out at mlmcknight.com/shadow deal to read book 1, The Good Necromancer, or you can subscribe to the list if you happen to have read it at mlmcknight.com/fan club. I think that's the right link. If anything, just go to mlmcknight.com and you'll find it. I'm excited to get that out. Cold Hard Magic is coming along. I am about 65% of the way through the book. I've got about 20,000 words left, which I'm making really, really good progress. So I'm happy with how it's turning out so far. It's definitely more intricate than I thought it would be, but I should have it done by the end of the month. So that is my personal updates, how things are going with me for the week. I wanted to start this. There's 3 things I want to talk to you about. The first thing is more of like a public service announcement. It's something that I say a lot, and it kind of goes in people's ears and out the other, and that's okay. If there's one person that hears it, that's fine. And that is to beware of the terms of service of any website that you use. So let me tell you 2 stories. One story is a story that happened to me a long time ago. And the second story is a story that happened to me not that long ago that I'm not at too much liberty to talk about. Long time ago, I happened to buy a stick of gum. Actually, it was a box of gum, actually. I bought a box of gum. I happened to see a YouTuber who I really admire. It was like one of the, like a men's style channel, Antonio Centeno. I guess I love his channel. He's phenomenal. And he was recommending this gum. And I won't say the name of the gum or anything like that because it's not important. But this gum looked phenomenal. And you're probably thinking, Michael, why the hell did you buy gum off of YouTube? What is the matter with you? I don't know if it was a sales thing or what, but I was intrigued. So I bought this gum off of the internet from this vendor. And it wasn't the YouTuber, but it was the vendor. I bought the gum. And I got it, and lo and behold, the gum was great. It was good. It kept my breath fresh all day. I could carry it around with me. I had a whole box of it, and there's some proprietary things about this gum that made it a little bit different. And so, yeah, I was happy. And then my bank account, though, wasn't very happy because I canceled the subscription to this gum, but yet the gum kept showing up at my door. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. Like, why is this happening? And so I emailed the company, and I didn't get any emails back. And I tried to call the company, and the phone number was disconnected. And so I tried and I tried and I tried to get a hold of this company to tell them, listen, you guys got to stop charging my credit card. This is not going to work. And lo and behold, crickets. It was as if they didn't even exist. And so then I'm like, okay, this is crap. Okay. So I went to the terms of service, and I don't know why I didn't read the terms of service, but it was a stick of gum. Why would you read terms of service for a stick of gum, a box of gum? Well, I read the terms of service, and it looked like my 5-year-old daughter had written it. It didn't make any sense at all. Like, the terms of service, it said, oh, if you have a complaint or you would like to contact us, be sure to write us at blah, 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 blah email. But it wasn't even a correct email address. Like, the construction wasn't even correct. Like, there wasn't even an @ sign in there. And then it was like, oh, if you would like to contact us, fill out this form. And then the link to the form went nowhere. And then there were tons of places where there were like brackets of like, please insert legal term here. Like they very clearly had bought this as a template or something. And so I'm thinking, oh no. So I can't even contact these people with that. And so I don't know how I found, basically what I had to do was reach out to Antonio. And I just said, hey, you probably ought to know this. And so anyway, Antonio was actually able to get a hold of somebody for me. And it turns out it was a technical error. It was a mistake. They took care of it. It wasn't a problem. But lo and behold, I just kept thinking to myself, if I didn't have somebody to help me, I would have been in some awful trouble, because I would have had to file paperwork with my credit card company, and it would have been a mess. And all of this could have been prevented if I would have just clicked on the terms of service and read what it said. Because then I would have said, wait a minute, it looks like a 5-year-old wrote this terms of service. I'm out of here. But no, I didn't do that. And so then I caused myself tons of pain, tons of stress over some gum. I hope that story means something to somebody, that it doesn't matter what you buy, terms of service can come back to bite you in the butt. All right. So the second story I want to tell is a story that has to do with Amazon. So I was in the process of doing some research on something that I wanted to build, a tool that I wanted to build. And lo and behold, I couldn't build it because of some restrictions in the Amazon product advertising API. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it's just that if I hadn't thought to look at the terms of service, and then I would have hired somebody to build this tool for me for writers, then everybody would have been in trouble, right? Because one, I would have violated the terms, and nothing will end your career quicker than violating somebody's terms of service, because you could be doing everything legal in the world. Everybody and their brother could be doing it. But if you get caught violating the terms of service and the hammer comes down on you, you're done. You are done, right? So read the terms of service for anything that you buy, even if it's a stick of gum. That's my first thing. Second thing is, if you have not read the terms of service for Amazon, go and find it. It's on the KDP dashboard. It's easy to find. Read it and abide by that terms of service with all of your heart and soul and your being. That's going to protect you. Even if, yes, it's inconvenient, just do it. Just do it. It's going to make your life so much easier. And I'm sitting here now, as I thought about this project, I'm just thinking to myself, man, did I dodge a bullet. Like, if I hadn't just had that thing in the back of my head that said, hey, why don't I go look at this terms, then I could have potentially been in some really big trouble. So you will get yourself into trouble at some point if you do not pay attention to the terms of service. Anyway, I've talked about that too long. Please don't click away, because now I want to talk to you about something that's very interesting and very fun. And you're probably going to laugh at my expense a little bit, and you're probably going to cheer at the same time. And that is, I'm talking about Amazon ads. So a few weeks ago, I had mentioned that I was working with Brian Cohen. He did a series, or it was like a week to a profitable ad. It was like a challenge. And you could sign up for free. And basically he released a couple videos throughout the period of a week that basically took you and held your hand through the process of creating a profitable Amazon ad. Now, I've done Amazon ads for probably about the last 3 years. I got really lucky with a couple of ads. Like one of my ads on Be a Writing Machine just made like a ton of money, and I just never really did anything with it. Like it was just like I check it once a week and it's making money, and it's like, okay, cool. And then I've done some ads for like my book Honors Reserve, and they were just colossal disasters that lost me money. And so I've had this weird mixed relationship with Amazon ads because I've never figured out how to get them to work intentionally. And so I said, okay, I just need some help. I need somebody to show me how to make everything work, because clearly what I'm doing is not working. And so I followed his challenge, and I mentioned in episode 98, I think, that I doubled my book royalties for one of my books in just like 2 weeks. And that is absolutely true. At the end of the month, I was very pleased. It was right about, a little more than double. And I made more money in that month than I'd made in the last, I shouldn't say that. I made more extra money that month than I had made in the last maybe two months. So I could tell for a fact that the ads had made an impact. So I know that because I was tracking everything. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go gangbusters here, because if this one book is making me tons of money, why don't I just do everything I did in the ad challenge and then do it for my other books in the series? And so I did that with my nonfiction series. And long story short, I created like 250 ads in like 2 days. I created 250 ads, and then I was like, okay, this is going to be a bonanza, right? And then lo and behold, I start to get some clicks. I start to get some impressions. The ads start serving. And then for like 6 days in a row, I sell no books. Like my sales, they fell the hell off a cliff. Pardon me for cursing, but that's literally what happened. Like I went from selling books every day to selling no books, like across any of my 50 books that I've written for like 6 days. And that wouldn't have normally been a problem, right? Because I'm writing the next book, so who cares? The only problem was that I created 250 ads, and those ads were getting lots of clicks. At one point, I was spending like $30 a day. And the first day, it was kind of cute. Like it was like, okay, this kind of sucks. It's just a fluke. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Nobody's, probably no one's watching because that's how things go. And then the next day it was like, $0 in sales, $30 in ad spend. This is kind of mildly amusing. And then day number 3 is like, I wonder if Amazon has some ad reporting issues. Like, I wonder if maybe I've gotten sales, but maybe there's a glitch somewhere on Amazon. And then day 4 is like, okay, I got a problem. I got a serious problem. One of the things that Brian teaches is that you have to wait, because the data, you have to get the clicks to figure out if you are, if there's something wrong, because it might not. It could be that maybe you're getting the clicks, but people could be downloading your book, and it's going to take several days for them to get around to it, right? Like maybe they'll download your sample, but then, So the long story short in all of this is that I've created ads in the past where I've turned them off, and then the sales to my book actually tanked. So I'm going to repeat that. I've created ads in the past where I've done the ad and they start eating up clicks, and then I turn the ad off because I'm scared, and then my sales actually fell off a cliff. And the reason for that was because the sales were leading to maybe audiobook sales, or they were leading to Kindle Unlimited sales, but I didn't realize that because I didn't know how to track it. So here I am with all this stuff happening, and I'm thinking, okay, something's wrong. I want to wait. Like I got to be courageous, and I got to tough this out. But at the same time, I got to do something. Like I got to figure this out. So I posted on the Amazon, so I bought I bought Brian's ad course. I should mention that too. So I did the challenge and I bought his ad school, which I would highly, highly recommend, by the way. So there's a private Facebook group. I published my problem there. I shared my numbers, and some other people were like, yeah, I'm kind of having this problem too. It's really weird. And so so on and so forth. Brian responded. He gave me some advice, and I figured out what the problem was. The problem was that when I created all these new ads, I was going after accidentally targets, and I was targeting products that had nothing to do with my own book. And so what was happening was my ad copy was probably good enough that people were clicking on it, but then they realized, hey, this book is not for me. And so I'm left holding the bag with the ad spend. So what I ended up doing was I used the negative targeting feature, and I basically ran reports on all of the things that were getting me clicks but not leading to sales. And then I just used the negative targets feature. So basically, if I'm just being silly here, but like if the keyword dinosaur erotica was getting me like $1 of clicks every single day, then I put dinosaur erotica in the negative targeting. So that way the ad would no longer target that. So that way, it wouldn't happen. So basically, long story short, what happened was it took me like 2 hours to go through and update my negative targeting. And when I did that, my ad spend dropped by 75%. And then, ironically, this has nothing to do with anything, my sales started up again. So I don't know what that was, what that 5 days was, but oh my God, it was terrible. Like, I was like, you can't sustain this. Like, it's not possible. But the good that came out of it was a lesson that taught me, okay, I really have to know what I'm doing with this stuff. This is precisely why I got this course, was because if I had done this on my own, I'd have been screwed. Right. So I'm telling you this long story just to tell you that I fixed the problem. My ad spend dropped and decreased, and those ads that I created are now in the process of making me money. Like, it's going to be a long haul through the end of the month because my conversion rate's probably going to be shot. But at the end of the month, I know I'm going to come out ahead because at these past 3 or 4 days, I've made a profit every single day since. So I know that this is working. And again, it goes to saying, how do you become a world-class marketer? You've got to experiment, and you've got to be willing to dig into the data. And so I'm not getting any kickback for recommending Brian's course. This is the one thing I probably should be an affiliate for because it has made me money. I'm not an affiliate for it yet, but I'm going to drop a link in the show notes. I want you to check it out. If you've at any point thought to yourself, maybe I need to figure out Amazon ads, I cannot recommend this enough. This is easily the best $297 I've ever spent. Easily. So I'm experimenting with these ads. I'm in the process of figuring out how to scale them. It's kind of weird. I haven't talked about much marketing stuff on this, and that's by design, but why not talk about marketing every once in a while? But yeah, I'm learning how to dig into the data. I'm learning how to love it. And I'm spending probably about 30 to 45 minutes every day on my ad spends. And it's paying off in dividends in terms of the data that it's giving me to help me create more ads and start to turn a profit on books that have not been profitable for me or have not been selling anything. It's really, really a beautiful thing. And I'm telling you, if I keep this up, I am like super excited at what's going to happen by the end of the year. Like, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to make some more mistakes down the road, just like I did when I created all those ads and I wasn't careful with my targeting. But that's a mistake you make. You have to make those mistakes, and you have to feel it in your pocketbook a little bit sometimes in order for the lesson sometimes to kick in. And I think that's what I want to talk about next, and that is this fear of failure, right? So this has nothing to do with Amazon ads per se, but I've received some emails from some folks over the past probably month or 2 months, and one of the things that they're afraid of is that confidence. How do I get confidence as a writer, and how do I avoid making a mistake? Because people are so scared of making mistakes, right? Like, they're so scared of it that it drives them to make suboptimal decisions. Like, I know somebody right now is probably thinking, oh my God, he was spending $30 a day on ads and he let that go for five days. Oh my God, I could never do that, right? I was okay with it because I knew that I was eventually going to make that money back, and I have made that money back. So it's not really a huge issue. But the only reason I was able to do that was because I had to rely on somebody's advice. Right. And I knew long term that I would get there. And I knew that just because I was stumbling, that I would eventually pick myself back up and I would eventually make that money back. Right. And so there's very little to be afraid of in the publishing industry. Like, there's just very little. Like, I did a YouTube video on confidence. I just did one. And so I'm going to link to that in the show notes. If you've ever had any confidence issues, I just highly recommend you check that out, because I just take the gloves off and tell you my thoughts about confidence, and how it's not something that you can buy or something that you can find or something that you'll magically wake up one day and get. It's something you have to make a decision to have. Like, it just starts with you, right? And it's the same thing with fear of failure. Yes, you might write a book that won't sell, but that's not something to be afraid of, right? Yes, you're going to have spent all that money on the book. Yes, you're going to have spent all the time on that book. Yes, you're going to put yourself out there and you're going to look like, I don't know, some people are self-conscious about that. Like, oh man, I did all this marketing on this book and it didn't sell. And what are people going to think? And yeah, you're going to have some egg on your face publicly. That's just how it goes. That is how the game goes. If you're not okay with that, you're in the wrong game. I have failed more times than anybody. Like, this is a person, I say this as somebody who wrote a book with an anthropomorphic broccoli in a leather jacket and red chucks. And I thought this book was going to be the hottest thing on the market. I thought this was going to be the hottest cover that was going to grace the top 100 books on Amazon. Yeah, I had a few problems back then, but I was okay with mistakes because I knew that even if I made a mistake as a writer, there was something that I was going to get out of it. Like some piece of data that was going to help me screw up just a little bit less with the next project that I did. And I failed probably hundreds of times my first year as a publisher. And I failed hundreds of times again as my second year. And I'm only now in the 7th year of publishing where I'm starting to maybe kind of possibly, potentially make fewer mistakes than I've made the year before. Like it's legit real. Like I'm 7 years into my publishing career and I'm not a full-time writer. And it's probably going to be another 7 to 10 years, maybe 20 years before I'm a full-time writer. If I'm lucky and if I continue working hard and being diligent, maybe that time's going to be less. And that would be great. And I will absolutely work to make sure that that happens, or at least make sure that I have a fighting chance at something like that happening. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world that I haven't achieved that success that I see in my head yet. Because I think at the end of the day, this is about the journey. And it's the same thing of like learning how to be present. People talk all the time, learn how to be present. There was a book I read once by Michael Pollan. I forget the name of the book, but if you've ever read anything by Michael Pollan, he's a phenomenal writer about food and about agriculture and the impact that food has on our lives. And one of the things he was writing, I think he was talking to some monks or something. He went somewhere in the world. And one of the lessons in the book was when you're chopping onions, just chop onions. Don't worry about what else is going on in the kitchen. Just be present and in the moment. So when you're chopping your onions, just chop the onions, right? And that's the same thing with the writing life. Just enjoy where you are on the journey, even if you're not at the destination yet, because I don't know, there's something to be said about enjoying yourself and relishing what you've accomplished and how far you've come. It's kind of like being on a road trip, right? Like there's a period on the road trip where you're like, okay, yeah, we're not quite at the destination yet, but I'm kind of joking around with my friends and maybe we had a really good meal and we're just staring at the open road and I'm just happy to be alive. It's the same thing as a writer. Just be happy with where you're at. That is my message for you today. So that is this episode. I hope that somebody found some value in it. I hope maybe the ad thing was instructive, that everybody's going to screw up. It's just a matter of time, but you definitely can do it. And it's absolutely a way that you can make money in today's digital world. And I should have some more updates for you on the basement and other things going on. But in the meantime, I hope that all of you have a fantastic day. And I hope that all of you are doing well with your current works in progress. And I will holler at you next time. Thanks for joining me this week. If you enjoyed this episode, you'll enjoy my backlist episodes at michaelaran.com/podcast. For your free starter library of my favorite novels, join my fan club by visiting michaelaran.com/fanclub. If you're a writer and want to connect with me further, check out my YouTube channel, Author Level Up, for helpful writing advice at authorlevelup.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week.